Jake Asman Show on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
We're excited about our next guest. He is up early and helping us out from the West Coast. He is one of the voices of the Los Angeles Dodgers on both the TV and radio. He's got a new book called COVID Curveball, an inside view of the 2020 LA Dodgers World Championship season. He is Tim Neverett, and he joins us right now on our progressive guest line. Tim, it's Jake Asman here. Thanks so much for the time. Appreciate you being with us.
Jake, I appreciate you having me, and it's a pleasure to be on with you.
So what inspired you to write this book, COVID Curveball? Obviously, you got the storybook ending with the team winning the title, but going through this process, what was the reason behind writing this book?
Yeah, spoiler alert, they won the World Series. But yeah, no, I think a lot of it was basically the unknown that inspired me, because it really came to me during the quarantine and after the first spring training that it was probably an idea to start chronicling what was happening, only because we didn't know. We didn't know if it would be 60 games, 100 games, any games. and if so, when we got together for games, what would happen? What would happen when we reconvened for spring training? How different would that be? And that was completely different than anything else I've ever experienced in baseball, and anybody else has either. And, you know, the way that the games were conducted and all of the protocols you had to follow just to get a game on, not just the game on the field, but to be able to broadcast the game to people, whether it was TV or radio, the different ways we had to do that, and all the other stories that came with that. It was the most bizarre season ever. I call it kind of like a Twilight Zone season of baseball, but still the Dodgers played great. And the book takes you all the way through the regular season, postseason, starting with the first spring training and when things shut down. And, we've got a great forward in the book from Oral Hershiser, who was the MVP of the 1988 World Series, the last time the Dodgers won it. And he really does a great job bridging 1988 to 2020 and dealing with all of the things that we had to deal with to get a season on and get it complete.
Tim, when you look back to the season ago and the Dodgers, of course, winning the championship, there was a lot of talk that baseball would not be able to pull it off, that they would not be able to get through the 60-game season. You had a bunch of teams dealing with COVID outbreaks, and there was just so much uncertainty. When you were going through it, calling all these games last year, did you think Major League Baseball was going to be able to pull it off and get through the 60-game season?
I think I was pretty optimistic at the beginning, and probably through the first 4 or 5 weeks maybe of the season. But when a lot of these cases started coming up, when Miami had their issues, and when St. Louis had their issues, and then we started getting positive tests out west with the Oakland A's and the San Diego Padres, I figured it was just a matter of time for the Dodgers and other teams. And there was a point in time where I was kind of pessimistic that we wouldn't be able to finish. And we were lucky to finish when we did. Think about this. Justin Turner gets a positive test result during Game 6 because there was a delay in the lab in Utah, and they got word to the Dodgers during the game. And this was the most 2020 thing of all, because Blake Snell, who was shutting down the Dodgers in a key game for the Rays in Game 6, because of analytics and organizational philosophy, he gets taken out early. And he doesn't last in a game as long as a guy with a positive test does. So that, to me, was the most 2020 thing about the 2020 season. Fortunately for the Dodgers, they were able to hold on and win Game 6 because of that positive test of Turner. What would have happened then? Would we have had a Game 7? Would it have been 2 weeks later? Would they have declared co-champs and said, we're at the finish line, enough's enough? We just don't know, but there's all kinds of possibilities that probably would have happened that didn't. And the ironic thing about Turner is that he was kind of a COVID cop on the team. He was the one who instituted protocols over and above what Major League Baseball had instituted. And, he was doing everything he could to keep his team safe because he knew they had a chance to win the whole thing, which they did. So it was ironic that he had a test. He ended up being asymptomatic and still doesn't know how he tested positive, but it was a strange ending to a strange season.
Tim Neverett, the voice of the LA Dodgers on both radio and TV, with us here. Once again, his new book, COVID Curveball, an inside view of the 2020 Los Angeles Dodgers World Championship season. The book is available for pre-order now. It comes out on August 31st. Tim, as far as, what the championship meant for one particular player on the Dodgers, I look at what it meant for Clayton Kershaw and his legacy. Obviously, he's one of the best pitchers I've ever seen. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he never had that championship, and his numbers in the playoffs at times were underwhelming for a guy that good. How much do you think it meant to him to be able to win, and how much does it mean now, for his legacy going forward, that no matter what happens going forward, you can always point to the fact that he's now a World Series champion?
I think at that point, Jake, he was probably going to start being looked at as the Dan Marino of baseball. I mean, a great pitcher, but never won the big one. And, that was the case with Marino. He had a Hall of Fame career as a quarterback, but just couldn't win the Super Bowl. But for Kershaw, I think a lot of people were happy for him, were relieved for him, were of the mindset that, hey, it's about time, because he had been so close in the past, and this time he did really well. He had a legacy of not having terrific performances in the postseason. Some of that at least one performance you can trace to 2017 in the Astros series, where it was just odd that he didn't have a single breaking ball swung on. And we all know the reasons for that.
Oh yeah.
But the thing about it is that he came back, and in the biggest moment, he really shined. And I'm just happy for him. He's relieved, and now that he's got a taste of a championship, he wants another one, and he's pitching really well again this year.
You look at this year's team, Tim. Let's change gears. Obviously, the expectation is you got to try and win the whole thing again. They're still loaded, and they went out there and they, of course, made the big move this offseason with Trevor Bauer, which we'll get to. But as far as this year's Dodgers team, you look at the division they're in. Is it surprising to you to see just how well the Giants have played? We know the Padres were going to be good, but how about just how good the Giants have been in that National League West?
Tell you what, the Giants don't quit. I was watching the end of their game last night after ours, and they were down 6-3, ended up losing 6-5, and they had the go ahead and winning runs on base. I mean, they just don't quit. But yeah, I'm surprised. The pitching for the Giants has kind of turned around. Kevin Gausman having a career year, Johnny Cueto doing well, Alex Wood having a career year, and it goes on and on. But they have embraced a different philosophy, I believe. I think their president of baseball operations, Farhan Zahidi, has done a great job of implementing it, and he's really turned them around faster than many thought they could be. The Padres are a fun team. They're an exciting team. I think Fernando Tatis brings a different, on that left side of the infield, while very expensive with Machado and Tatis, you got $600 million invested into two players. You hope that things can work out in a way where they hope that things can work out in a way where they're going to do well. But I also look at it where, this division is a 3-team race. Every night, the Dodgers seem to be either tied with or a half game back of the Giants. They haven't been able to pull in front of them yet. Played pretty poorly last night down in Miami and giving a game away. So it's a fun race. It's great for baseball. It's great for West Coast baseball to see these three teams battling it out every night.
How weird is it for you to be calling games and Albert Pujols is playing for the Dodgers?
Oh my gosh. Every time he comes to the plate, he could be doing something different. Like the other night, 2 nights ago, he gets a base hit, and it's his 6,000th total base. He's 4th all time. He's only behind Henry Aaron and Willie Mays and Babe Ruth, I guess. I mean, for total bases. I mean, he's 4th all time, and he may catch Willie Mays. He might catch Willie Mays in all-time hits, to move up that list. It seems like he's moving up some list or another. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best players to ever play the game. And seeing him before the game in Miami, granted it was on a video monitor before the game because we are not allowed to travel yet, but, watching him talk to Derek Jeter before the game on the field, and you look at two really great players of the same generation, one now an owner and one still playing. And it was just a great sight. But it's neat to see when he's playing first base and some of these younger players will get to first, and they'll look at him and they'll talk to him and they'll hug him simply because, they look at this saying, hey, he's one of the greats of all time, and I'm on the same field with him, and this is a special moment. So it's great to see what Albert is doing, and he's also helping the Dodgers. He's driving in runs. He's starting rallies. He's doing a lot of good things, and it's just fun to watch him every day.
Dodgers announcer Tim Neverett with us here on the Jake Asman Show. New book, COVID Curveball, an inside view of the 2020 LA Dodgers World Championship season. Tim, obviously, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't just ask you for what the reaction in LA has been to the allegations made against Trevor Bauer. He, of course, has been placed on baseball's exempt list. What is the latest there, and do you expect Trevor Bauer to pitch again for the Dodgers this season?
It's really hard to say. It's something that when you kind of focus, regardless of the story, and this has happened over the course of baseball, in terms of broadcast, and regardless of whatever story's happening, whatever player it involves, there's so much to pay attention to with the players who are there and in uniform. And that's what we're doing pretty much. I mean, today is a bullpen day, again, because there is no starter available because Bauer will be missing his second start. We don't know what's going to happen with him. I wish I could tell you. I have no idea at this point in time. All I can tell you is that Dave Roberts, the manager, yesterday was asked if he expects him to be back after his initial administrative leave, and he said no, he doesn't. So it's really a difficult situation. I know that there's two ways to look at it, right? There's the court of public opinion and the criminal investigation, all these things. That's one thing. That's completely separate from the baseball side of things. And on a daily basis, when you're around the team, you focus on the baseball side of things. How does this affect the club? What are they going to do to patch those holes? And he's not here, and until he's here, he's not here. So that's kind of the way we have to look at it. He's certainly
a polarizing player, but from what you heard, obviously legal situation aside now, was he well liked in that clubhouse? Like what has what have you heard about how he's interacted with people in the organization?
From my observations, and again, they've been from a distance because the broadcasters, even though the stadiums are open fully, and even though the protocols have been lifted, we are still under restrictive protocols where we don't have as much access to the players. We've got a little bit more where we can actually go on the field and maybe catch a guy when he walks by. You can't go in the clubhouse anymore, at least for now. And we've had to call games for a year and a half from a distance without having the access. So I can tell you from what I've observed on video screens of him interacting with his teammates, everything seemed fairly normal there. He seemed like a guy that people gravitated to. I mean, he once they did open up media to be able to go on the field, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, I know that he was holding court. He came out and held court with the press one day to talk about, rosin and sweat and how that affects the grip on the baseball and that kind of thing. And that was the first time I'd seen a player come out on the field and just kind of hold court with a group of reporters and broadcasters. But all in all, I mean, everything seemed pretty good in terms of how he was dealing with his teammates, and he seemed well accepted in the organization.
Tim, thanks so much for a couple minutes this morning. Best of luck with the book. Looking forward to reading it. And, the Dodgers are certainly going to be a story all year round, so we definitely got to get you on again soon.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the Dodgers are going to be fun. You got the All-Star game coming up, and we'll see if any more Dodgers get added because players usually get added in the last week. And I appreciate you mentioning the book, available on Amazon for pre-sale right now. And we're looking forward to talking to you guys about baseball, talking to you maybe about the All-Star game and things that are coming up here in the near future.
Thanks so much, Tim. Best of luck.
All right, Jake. Thank you.
Tim Neverett, the voice of the Dodgers on both radio and TV, joining us talking about everything going on with the Dodgers, their championship season, of course, last year, and the latest with the allegations against Trevor Bauer. Good stuff there from Tim, and he mentioned it. You could order his book right now on Amazon. Pre-order comes out on August 31st. We take our final break of a Wednesday show, and we wrap it all up for you next here on Sports Map Radio.
Wake up call!
They still make big league